You think if she pulls back, it means she's losing interest. But sometimes the truth is more unsettling than that. Sometimes she is not avoiding you because she feels too little. She is avoiding you because she feels too much and does not know what to do with it. You think distance always means rejection. But sometimes distance is what emotionally unprepared people create when something real starts touching parts of them they have spent years keeping numb. If you need truth like this, subscribe now, because your emotions will lie to you when you are attached. Your ego will lie to you when you are confused. And if you do not keep hearing the truth, you will start calling chaos love and calling mixed signals depth. You do not need more comforting nonsense. You need reminders that bring you back to yourself. So here's what it really means. Sometimes when she goes quiet, gets inconsistent, slows down, or starts acting strange after things were getting deeper, it does not mean she feels nothing. It means the connection is pressing against her fear. It means your presence is activating something bigger than attraction. It means she may care, but caring is not the same as being ready. Feeling strongly is not the same as knowing how to stay. Love is not just emotion. Love is emotional capacity. And when a woman has feelings bigger than the stability she has built inside herself, she can start retreating from the very thing she wants. That is the thesis. She may not be avoiding you because she does not care. She may be avoiding you because she cares deeply and feels overwhelmed by what that caring requires. But hear this clearly. Her overwhelm is not your assignment. Her feelings are real, maybe. Her behavior is real too. And your self-respect has to deal with behavior, not fantasy. Most men miss this because they only know two explanations. If she is warm, she likes me. If she is distant, she does not. Simple, clean, easy. But human beings are rarely that clean, especially when emotions get serious, especially when wounds get touched, especially when intimacy stops being fun and starts becoming real. A woman can want you and still pull away. She can miss you and still disappear. She can feel safe with you one day and terrified by that safety the next. She can love what you awaken in her and resent you for awakening it at the same time. That is called emotional ambivalence. And if you have never experienced it from the other side, it will confuse you because your mind wants a clean story. Your mind wants clarity. Your mind wants to say, if she cared, she would just act right. In a healthy world, yes. In a wounded world, not always. Some people do not run from what they hate. They run from what is too real. They run from what has the power to matter. They run from the possibility of surrender, loss, disappointment, dependency, exposure. They run because real love threatens the identity they built to survive. That is the hard truth. She may love you too much for her level of emotional maturity. She may feel too much for the amount of inner safety she actually has. She may see the possibility of a real bond, and instead of leaning in, she starts protecting herself from it. Why? Because for some people, closeness does not just feel beautiful. It feels dangerous. Dangerous because if this matters, it can hurt. Dangerous because if this is real, she can no longer hide in control. Dangerous because if she lets you in, the version of herself that stays guarded starts losing power. And people protect familiar pain more fiercely than unfamiliar peace. Read that again in your own mind. People protect familiar pain more fiercely than unfamiliar peace. That is why some women can tolerate toxic excitement more easily than healthy depth. Toxicity is familiar. It is dramatic, but it is known. It keeps the nervous system in a pattern it understands. But your steadiness, your consistency, your actual emotional presence, that can feel more threatening than dysfunction because it leaves nowhere to hide. If you are genuine, if you are clear, if you are not playing games, then she cannot distract herself with decoding you. She has to face herself. She has to feel, she has to choose. She has to risk. And for someone unprepared, risk feels like a threat, even when the thing being risked for is good. Now be careful here. This is the part where weak men become delusional. They hear, maybe she loves you too much, and instantly convert every rejection into a secret love story. No. Stop. That is ego. That is fantasy. That is not wisdom. Not every woman who pulls away is secretly in love with you. Not every mixed signal is depth. Not every inconsistency is fear. Sometimes disinterest is just disinterest. Sometimes avoidance is avoidance. Sometimes she is simply not choosing you. So how do you tell the difference? You stop listening only to the pain of the moment and start looking at the pattern. That's called discernment. Did she become distant after real intimacy started building? Did she get shaky when things became emotionally honest? Did her warmth and fear seem to rise together? Did she say she feels overwhelmed, confused, scared, not ready, not because you did something clearly wrong, but because the weight of the connection was becoming real? Does she keep circling back not for attention, but because she cannot fully detach either? Does her retreat look like fear of depth, or does it look like simple indifference? These questions matter because a man without discernment becomes a hostage to his own hope. He starts romanticizing every silence. He starts spiritualizing every delay. He starts turning every breadcrumb into evidence. That is not emotional intelligence. That is emotional hunger. And hunger is dangerous. Because once you are hungry enough, you stop asking what is true and start asking what allows you to keep believing. You stop seeing what is happening and start protecting the story you need. You say, she's scared because it's real. Maybe. Or maybe she is inconsistent and you are too attached to accept it. You say, she loves me too much. That's why she withdrew. Maybe. Or maybe her internal chaos has nothing to do with your value and everything to do with her unreadiness. That distinction will save your life. Here's the misconception. Men often think if a woman withdraws after closeness, they need to go harder. Reassure more. Explain more. Text more. Prove more. They think if she is scared, I'll just be more patient, more available, more loving, more understanding, more whatever. But when a woman is retreating because the depth is overwhelming her, your over-pursuit does not soothe the fear. It intensifies it. Why? Because now she does not just feel the weight of her emotions. She feels the weight of yours too. That's called emotional flooding. Now she is not only trying to manage her fear of connection, she is also trying to manage your need for answers. Your need for reassurance. Your need for certainty. Your need to stabilize what she herself cannot stabilize. And that is when a lot of men accidentally destroy their position. Not because they cared too much, but because they cared without structure. They loved without boundaries. They responded to her fear by abandoning themselves. You start over-explaining. You start asking what changed. You start trying to solve what she has not even learned to name. You stop observing. You stop breathing. You stop listening to reality. You stop respecting the pace of truth. That is self-abandonment. And that is the real cost. Not just that she may keep pulling away. The deeper cost is what her confusion starts doing to your nervous system, your identity, your standards. You wake up looking for signs. You reread messages like they are sacred texts. You check your phone with the desperation of a man waiting to find out if he still exists. You become hyper-attuned, hyper-reactive, hyper-available. Your whole internal world starts organizing around her fluctuations. No, that is not love. That is dysregulation. You lose your center when you become more committed to understanding her than leading yourself. Let's go deeper into why this happens in her mind. If a woman truly feels strongly and then starts avoiding or pulling back, it is often because the relationship is no longer living in the safe space of fantasy. Fantasy is easy. Fantasy asks for nothing real. Fantasy is chemistry, flirting, possibility, idealization, projection. Fantasy lets her feel without changing. But once the connection starts asking for emotional responsibility, honesty, vulnerability, consistency, reciprocity, now it is no longer fantasy. Now it is reality. And reality costs. Reality costs pride. Reality costs control. Reality costs old identities. Reality costs old defenses. Reality costs the ability to stay half-guarded and still keep you close. Some women can handle attention. Fewer can handle devotion. Some can handle attraction. Fewer can handle depth. Some can handle the beginning. Fewer can handle what the beginning demands if it becomes real. And if she has history, wounds, betrayal, abandonment, unstable parents, chaotic relationships, fear of dependence, fear of surrender, or a deep need to remain in control, your consistency can trigger more fear than a player ever would. Why? Because a player confirms her defenses. A real man challenges them. A player keeps the game alive. A grounded man makes the game unnecessary. And when the game dies, she has to show up without it. That is terrifying for someone who built her identity on emotional self-protection. So yes, sometimes she is not avoiding you because she feels too little. She is avoiding you because something inside her understands that if she keeps going, this could matter. And she is not sure she knows how to be in something that matters without losing herself, getting hurt, or being seen too clearly. But listen, this is where masculine clarity matters. Her fear may explain the behavior. It does not excuse endless inconsistency. Explanation is not permission. Compassion is not self-betrayal. Understanding her pain does not require you to become its caretaker. That is where men get trapped. They confuse insight with obligation. She has wounds becomes, I should wait forever. She is scared becomes, I should accept confusion. She feels deeply becomes, I should tolerate instability. No, no, no. If she loves you too much but cannot show up well, you still experience the damage. If she feels deeply but disappears, you still carry the uncertainty. If she is overwhelmed by the connection and keeps stepping back, you still live inside the consequences. Your heart does not become less strained just because the reason sounds emotional and poetic. Pain with a beautiful explanation still hurts. This is why your reframe has to be ruthless and clean. Stop asking only what does she feel? Start asking, what can she sustain? Because relationships do not run on intensity. They run on capacity. Capacity is everything. Can she communicate when things get real? Can she stay present when vulnerable feelings rise? Can she tell the truth without shutting down? Can she receive care without panicking? Can she handle consistency without sabotaging it? Can she tolerate love without turning it into fear? That is what matters. Not just whether she feels something. A lot of damaged bonds are built on people who feel everything and can sustain nothing. That's called emotional immaturity. And if you do not understand that, you will mistake intensity for compatibility. You will say, but we felt so much. Of course you did. Feeling is the easy part. Sustainment is the test. Feeling is sparks. Sustainment is firewood. Feeling is the wave. Sustainment is the ocean floor. Feeling pulls people together. Capacity determines whether they can stay there without drowning each other. So what should your mindset be if you suspect this is what is happening? First, stop personalizing every retreat as proof that you are not enough. Her overwhelm is not a verdict on your worth. Sometimes your steadiness exposes the instability she has been managing for years. Sometimes your sincerity is exactly what she says she wants, but not what she knows how to receive. Sometimes your presence is healthy enough that it makes her old patterns panic. That does not mean you are too much in the wrong way. It may mean you are too real for the defenses she still lives inside. That should not inflate your ego. It should clarify your position. You are not here to convince someone to be ready. You are not here to rescue someone into emotional adulthood. You are not here to become so understanding that you lose all standards. You are not here to translate someone's fear into a lifetime assignment. You are here to remain yourself in the presence of someone else's confusion. That is strength. Now let me show you the man who understands this. Not the boy who turns every mystery into a fantasy. Not the wounded man who becomes addicted to fixing women. Not the angry man who calls every fearful person manipulative because he cannot tolerate nuance. I'm talking about the man. The man sees clearly. He does not need immediate labels, but he does need consistent reality. He can recognize that a woman may care deeply and still be emotionally unavailable. He can hold both truths at once without collapsing into fantasy or bitterness. He does not overpursue because he understands that pressure reveals very little except his own lack of discipline. He does not punish her fear with cruelty. He does not chase her fear with desperation. He stays grounded. He stays observant. He stays honest. He has a life before her and a life beyond her. He has work to do. He has standards to protect. He has a body to train. He has a mind to guard. He has a future that cannot be placed on layaway every time a woman becomes emotionally inconsistent. He can care without kneeling. He can understand without excusing. He can feel compassion without volunteering to bleed. He can step back without hatred. He can wait a little without waiting forever. He can speak once clearly and then let reality answer. That is the man. When she retreats, he does not start performing. He does not send essays trying to calm what he did not create. He does not start acting mysterious to trigger her. He does not become a therapist. He does not become a detective. He becomes still. Still enough to see. Still enough to hear. Still enough to let the pattern reveal itself. That stillness is power. Because the weaker man thinks movement is strength. More messages. More questions. More reassurance. More proving. But frantic movement is often just panic with good grammar. The stronger man understands that time reveals what words try to hide. If her feelings are real but her fear is winning, time will show that. If her interest is shallow and she simply likes attention, time will show that too. If the bond has substance, reality will reveal it. If it does not, fantasy will die. Let fantasy die. You do not need it. Here's the hard truth a lot of men need to hear. Sometimes a woman really does love you in the only way she currently knows how. And that way is still unhealthy. That way is still inconsistent. That way is still incapable of building peace. That way is still full of retreat, confusion, silence, emotional spikes, and half steps forward. Her feelings may be sincere. Her way of carrying them may still be destructive. That is why she loves me is never enough. Can she love well? Can she love honestly? Can she love consistently? Can she love with courage? Can she love without making you pay for wounds you did not cause? Those are the adult questions. And if the answer is no, then you need a reframe strong enough to save you from your own empathy. Because empathy without boundaries is a slow suicide. You start absorbing her pain, rationalizing her behavior, excusing your own erosion, and calling it patience. It is not patience. It is self-neglect wearing a noble face. That's called martyrdom. You are not meant to become a martyr for potential. You are not meant to become a storage unit for someone else's unfinished healing. You are not meant to spend your prime years trying to earn basic emotional steadiness from someone who keeps retreating every time things become real. So what do? You get simple. You get grounded. You get disciplined. If she's pulling away, do not chase the distance. Respect it. Watch it. If she says she is overwhelmed, believe the words without trying to engineer the outcome. Do not argue with her fear. Do not campaign against it. Fear does not respond to persuasion. It responds to inner work, and that is her job. If you want clarity, ask once. Calmly, directly. If this is real, it needs honesty and consistency. If you are not able to do that, I respect it, but I won't stay in confusion. That is enough. You do not need 10 conversations. You do not need emotional essays. You do not need to explain your worth to somebody who can only meet you in fragments. Then step back, not as a game, not as punishment, not as manipulation, as self-respect. Return to your routines immediately. Train, work, sleep, eat well, get sunlight, clean your space. Speak to one trusted man who will tell you the truth, not feed your obsession. Stop checking for digital crumbs. Stop looking for hidden meaning in online behavior. Stop trying to decode stories, statuses, response times, passive signals. That is not information. That is addiction finding new language. Redirect the energy. Every time your mind says, maybe if I cut it off, maybe if I text, maybe if I reassure her, maybe if I disappear longer, maybe if I show her I'm different, maybe if I just wait. No. Come back to reality. What is happening, not what you can imagine. What is being sustained, not what is being suggested. What is being built, not what is being hinted at. That mental discipline will save you, because the cost of not having it is brutal. You become emotionally hooked to someone else's internal war. You become a side character in your own life. Your confidence starts dropping, not because you are weak, but because uncertainty erodes self-trust when you keep staying inside it. You stop trusting what you see. You stop trusting what you feel. You start relying on rare moments of warmth to erase repeated patterns of instability. That's called intermittent reinforcement. And it is one of the fastest ways to turn a strong man into a confused one. A little closeness, then distance. A little vulnerability, then withdrawal. A little promise, then silence. Your brain starts chasing the return of the high. You stop dealing with the person and start dealing with the cycle. Break the cycle. You break it by refusing to let someone's fear become your addiction. You break it by refusing to romanticize emotional unavailability. You break it by refusing to make a home inside uncertainty. You break it by letting behavior carry more weight than your longing. That is what self-respect looks like in real time. And yes, there is a mature way to handle a woman who may love you deeply, but fear the depth of it. It is not cold. It is not cruel. It is not cynical. It is calm. It is boundaried. It is respectful. It is honest. You do not shame her. You do not diagnose her. You do not force her open. You do not punish vulnerability. You simply refuse to participate in a connection that asks you to bleed while she decides whether she can handle having a heart. That refusal is not rejection. It is leadership. Sometimes the most masculine thing you can do is not to win her over. It is to stop overriding reality because you are moved by her struggle. You can respect her humanity and still require more. You can understand her fear and still walk away from confusion. You can admit she may feel a lot and still say, a lot is not enough. That sentence right there will protect your life. A lot is not enough. A lot of chemistry is not enough. A lot of tears are not enough. A lot of potential is not enough. A lot of hidden feeling is not enough. If it does not become truth you can live inside, it is still not enough. This does not make you harsh. It makes you adult. And adulthood is rare in relationships because most people are still trying to heal childhood wounds through romantic intensity. They do not want partnership. They want emotional anesthesia. They want to feel chosen without being fully known. They want depth without exposure. They want closeness without responsibility. They want to be loved without having to become someone who can hold love properly. But you do not get to build your life on that. You need peace. You need clarity. You need reciprocity. You need coherence. You need something your nervous system does not have to beg to understand. So if you suspect that she is not avoiding you because she does not care, but because she cares deeply and cannot handle it, hold the truth with both hands. One hand says, yes, that may be real. The other hand says, and if she cannot sustain it, I still do not build my life around it. Both hands, not one, because one-handed truth becomes distortion. If you only see her pain, you abandon yourself. If you only see your pain, you become resentful and simplistic. Maturity holds the full picture. She may care. She may fear. She may be overwhelmed. And none of that changes your responsibility to protect your peace. That is the reframe. Stop asking, how do I make her feel safe enough to stop pulling away? Start asking, does this connection allow me to remain rooted in self-respect? Stop asking, what does she secretly feel? Start asking, what does she consistently do? Stop asking, how do I prove I'm different? Start asking, why am I trying to audition for a role that should be reciprocal? Stop asking, what if she loves me too much? Start asking, can she love in a way that does not destroy the ground beneath me? Ask better questions and your life changes. And if someday she comes back with clarity, accountability, steadiness, and an actual capacity to stay present, fine. Then you assess reality as it stands then, not as you fantasized about it in the dark. But until reality changes, do not date possibility. Do not commit to potential. Do not pledge your nervous system to a maybe. You are too grown for that. You are too valuable for that. You have too much to build for that. This is where the identity reset begins. You stop seeing yourself as the man who waits to be chosen by someone emotionally divided. You stop seeing yourself as the rescuer, the fixer, the exception, the one who can love somebody into readiness. You become the man who honors what is real, even when reality hurts. You become the man who does not need chaos to feel depth. You become the man who can recognize love, but also recognize when love is trapped inside fear and therefore not yet fit for partnership. That discernment is priceless. Because once you have it, you stop being manipulated by the sentence, but the feelings are real. So what? Feelings are real all the time. Fear is real. Desire is real. Attachment is real. Trauma is real. Longing is real. But real feeling without real structure still creates wreckage. The bridge does not care how sincerely someone wanted to build it if it collapses when you walk on it. You need a bridge that holds. So hold your line. Let her feel what she feels. Let her face what she fears. Let reality reveal what is sustainable. And you stand still enough to see it without lying to yourself. That is your work. You do not have to harden your heart. You have to sharpen your standards. You do not have to become cold. You have to become clear. You do not have to stop loving deeply. You have to stop offering deep love where there is no capacity to receive it cleanly. That is how you reclaim yourself. And if this is hitting you hard right now, good. It is supposed to. Truth should interrupt you. Truth should shake loose the fantasy that has been quietly draining your strength. Truth should make you sit straighter. Truth should force the question you have avoided. Am I in love with what is real, or am I loyal to a story because it helps me avoid letting go? Answer honestly, because your whole future sits on that answer. If she loves you too much but cannot meet you properly, that is her tragedy to resolve. Do not turn it into your prison. Do not turn it into your identity. Do not turn it into the excuse for why your life stays emotionally suspended. Love that is not ready is still not ready. Depth that cannot stabilize is still unstable. Feeling that cannot communicate is still confusion. Call it what it is. Then move accordingly. You are not weak for caring. You are weak only when caring becomes the excuse for abandoning yourself. You are not foolish for hoping. You are foolish only when hope outranks evidence. You are not wrong for wanting her. You are wrong only when wanting her becomes more important than respecting yourself. That is the line. And once you feel that line in your bones, everything changes. You stop collapsing when someone pulls back. You stop turning distance into a referendum on your value. You stop confusing emotional intensity with relational fitness. You stop reaching for people who only know how to love from behind a wall. You stop begging reality to be softer than it is. You become the kind of man who can feel, understand, and still choose truth. That man is free. Free from obsession. Free from decoding. Free from emotional bargaining. Free from the humiliating loop of trying to earn peace from someone who cannot carry it. Become that man. Because in the end, the question is not whether she loves you too much. The question is whether you love yourself enough to stop calling unsteady love your destiny. The question is whether you can honor a connection without surrendering your center to it. The question is whether you can look at a woman's fear with compassion and still say, I need more than this if I am going to stay. That is power. Quiet power. Clean power. Not the power to control her. The power to remain yourself. And that is why you are the answer. Not her next message. Not her next emotional breakthrough. Not her next moment of clarity. You. Your standards. Your boundaries. Your groundedness. Your willingness to let truth be enough, even when your heart wants one more chance to believe a fantasy. You are the answer. You have always been the answer. If you want more reminders like this, subscribe, because when attachment gets loud, you will need truth spoken louder. Stay around voices that bring you back to discipline, clarity, and self-respect. You are not the only man learning this lesson. There are men right now choosing truth over chaos, peace over confusion, standards over fantasy. Stand with them, then become one of them.